I slept with my wife's younger sister on our matrimonial bed. She got pregnant. And when my wife found out, she ended her life. Now I'm a broken man, haunted by guilt, hiding in Japan while a child I never meant to create carries my name back in California. This is not a love story. This is the story of how I destroyed my own family. If you're looking for sympathy, don't expect it from me. I don't deserve it. Not after what I did. My name is Richard Cole, a self-made millionaire, husband to a beautiful woman named Abigail, and now, the man who destroyed 2 lives with a single decision. It started like a whisper in the dark. Harmless. That's what I told myself. Abigail and I had been married for 6 years. She stood by me when I was just a dreamer with a startup in a garage. And when the company took off and I started making 7 figures monthly, she never changed. Still loyal. Still gentle. Still too predictable. Enter Amanda, her younger sister. A fireball. Unfiltered, spontaneous, and dangerously free. She moved in with us for a few weeks after losing her job. I didn't see it coming. I swear. But something in her eyes told me she did. At first, it was small things, the lingering glances, the quick laughs at jokes that weren't even funny. The day it happened, Abigail had gone out of town to care for their sick mother in San Diego. Amanda stayed behind, claiming she had interviews lined up. That evening, I came home late. Tired. Frustrated. The house was dark, quiet, except for the music playing low in the background. I went upstairs and found her in the hallway, wearing nothing but one of my white shirts. Rough day, she asked, walking closer. I should have walked away. I should have remembered the promises I made Abigail. But I didn't. The kiss was electric. The bed we defiled. Our matrimonial bed. The place where Abigail and I had planned a future, had cried together, dreamed together, ruined in one night of weakness. The guilt was instant. But the damage was permanent. What I didn't know, what would come to haunt me, was that Amanda got pregnant. She didn't tell me immediately. Weeks passed. She acted normal. Too normal. Abigail came back and nothing seemed off. Until one morning, I walked into the kitchen and heard it. I think I'm pregnant, Amanda whispered to Abigail. The silence that followed was thunderous. I stood there, frozen, around the corner, holding my coffee like it was my last defense. What? Abigail asked, confused. By who? There was a pause. A heavy, haunting pause. Then Amanda said my name. I dropped the mug. It shattered, just like everything inside of me. Abigail turned. Her face drained of color. Her hands trembled. I didn't even speak. I had no words. Nothing I said would fix this. She ran. Out the door. Into the street. I tried to chase her, but she was gone before I could even put on shoes. I searched for hours. Called her phone until my fingers ached. Drove to her friends, her mother's, even old places we used to visit. That night, the police called. They found her car near the cliff on Highway 1. She was inside, lifeless. An empty pill bottle in the passenger seat. She had ended it. Because of me. I didn't go to the funeral. I couldn't face her family. I couldn't face myself. Amanda didn't speak to me for weeks. When she finally did, she was a shell of the girl I had known. Hollow. Lost. I fled California. Booked a one-way ticket to Tokyo and left everything behind. My company, my mansion, the cars, even the life I once thought was perfect. But guilt. That packed itself and came along. Amanda's last message before I left simply said, I didn't mean for this to happen. Neither did I. But intentions don't matter when the outcome is fatal. They say you can't run from your past. I was about to learn just how true that was. Tokyo is loud, yet somehow quiet, just like my mind. I came here to disappear. To vanish into the crowd, to bury my guilt under neon lights and foreign words. But guilt isn't tied to geography. It travels with you. It speaks every language. It had been 2 months since Abigail died. I rented a modest apartment in Shinjuku, far from the luxury I was used to. No staff. No security gates. Just me, 4 walls, and silence. The kind of silence that lets memory scream. Each morning, I'd wake hoping it was all a nightmare, that I'd open my eyes and find Abigail beside me, hair messy, smiling like she used to when we had nothing. But every morning, reality smacked me in the face. She was gone and Amanda was carrying my child. I hadn't spoken to Amanda since the day I left. I ignored her messages. Turned off notifications. Blocked numbers. I thought if I shut everything out, I could find peace. But peace isn't something you find when you're the reason someone is dead. One rainy evening, as I walked back from a ramen bar, I heard the sound of a crying baby. Not in the street, in my head. The guilt had taken form. That night, I dreamt of Abigail. She was sitting on the edge of our bed, in a white silk robe, the same one she wore the last night we were together. She looked at me with eyes full of pain. "You could have told me," she said. "I couldn't," I replied in the dream. I was scared. "You should have feared losing me," she whispered. Then she vanished. I woke up drenched in sweat, gasping for air. The next morning, I opened my email for the first time in weeks. One unread message stood out, subject, "You're still the father." It was from Amanda. I hesitated before clicking. My hands shook. Inside was a photo. Amanda, heavily pregnant. Eyes swollen from crying. A quiet sadness in her expression. Below it, just 2 lines. "I can't do this alone. I didn't ask for this life. But I'm living it now. And so should you." I wanted to reply. I wanted to say I was sorry. I wanted to say I'd come back. But I didn't. Instead, I closed the laptop and buried myself in the city once again. Work, for the first time, became my escape. I began consulting with Japanese startups. Quiet deals. Nothing big. Just enough to keep my mind busy and my demons at bay. But every night, Amanda's face would come back. And so would Abigail's. I started seeing Abigail everywhere, in strangers on the train, in women walking into cafes, in reflections that didn't belong to her but wore her pain. That's when the letters started. Handwritten. No return address. The first one arrived at my doorstep. "You ran. But you can't run forever." I assumed it was a prank. But then came the second. "Your child will be born soon. What will you tell them? That you were in hiding while they cried for their father." The third hit harder. "Abigail forgave you. I saw her journal. But can you forgive yourself?" I froze. Only one person had access to Abigail's journals. Amanda. She was sending the letters. Each one chipped at the wall I had built around myself. And each one reminded me I had unfinished business. Not just with Amanda. Not just with the child. But with myself. I stood in front of the mirror one evening and whispered, "You are a coward." It was the truth. And I was tired of running from it. The next morning, I booked a flight back to California. I didn't know what waited for me there. A broken woman. A child who would never know their mother. Or a ghost that still lingered in our house. But I knew one thing, I couldn't escape the consequences forever. It was time to face what I had destroyed. Landing in California felt like stepping into a courtroom, awaiting a sentence I knew I deserved. I hadn't told Amanda I was coming. I didn't even know where she lived now. The mansion was long gone, sold in a panic before I disappeared to Tokyo. I stood outside that house anyway. Our old house. The lawn was overgrown. The windows dusty. Abigail's rose garden had withered into thorns. She would have hated that. I didn't cry. Not yet. The tears were waiting for something, a confrontation, a collapse, maybe redemption. Or maybe there was no redemption left for me. I found Amanda through a mutual friend. She was living in a small apartment complex in Pasadena. No luxury. No help. Just her and the baby. My palms were sweating as I knocked on her door. I had rehearsed what I would say, how I would explain the silence, the escape, the betrayal. But when the door opened, all those words dissolved. There she stood, thinner, paler, but not broken. In her arms was a baby wrapped in a soft yellow blanket. A boy. You came back, she said. I didn't know how to stay gone, I replied. She stepped aside, wordlessly. I walked in, but every inch of that small living room felt like judgment. On the wall, hung beside a plain mirror, was a framed photo of Abigail. She was smiling in it, the same gentle smile I had destroyed. His name is Micah, Amanda said, sitting on the couch. He was born a month ago. I sat slowly across from her. I couldn't look at the baby yet. Not yet. I read your letters, I said quietly. Oh no. You could have made me out to be a monster. To everyone. I didn't have to, she said, her voice steady. You already were. But monsters can change. If they choose to. Silence. I've played that night over in my head 1,000 times, I confessed. If I could take it back. But you can't. Micah let out a soft cry. Amanda cradled him gently. He had her eyes. But I saw traces of Abigail in his mouth, in his quiet. Did Abigail really forgive me? She asked. Amanda looked away. I found a journal after her death. She had written in it the day she returned home. After she heard us. What did it say? Amanda stood and walked to the drawer. She pulled out a tattered notebook and handed it to me. I flipped through shaky pages until I saw the date, the day everything ended. Her handwriting was soft, rushed. I don't hate him. I hate myself for not seeing it sooner. Maybe I was too perfect. Too blind. I don't want to live a life filled with bitterness. I hope one day he understands what is lost. I closed the journal. She was always too good, I whispered. Yes, Amanda said. She was. We sat there for a long time. No accusations. No yelling. Just the weight of everything we'd lost and one innocent child in the middle of it all. I want to be part of his life, I finally said. Amanda looked at me. Her face hardened slightly. Not for me, I added quickly. Not to clear my conscience. For him. He deserves a father. You'll have to earn that, she said. Oh no. We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We weren't those kinds of people anymore. But as I held Micah for the first time, something shifted. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But a beginning. I'd lost everything, my wife, my home, my honor. But this child, he was what remained. The consequence. The reminder. And strangely, the chance to make something right. As I stepped outside into the California sun, I looked back once, not in regret, but in resolve. Because monsters can change. And I was ready to start.